Good evening and welcome to the Monday, August 14th Administrative Public Works Committee meeting. We have a quorum. Is there an approval for the July 24th minutes?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions, comments, edits? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of passing the July 24th minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Fleming, would you like to take items for consideration, please?
A1?
Yeah, you can move A1 and A2.
Sorry,
please.
thank you. Item A1, payroll July 10, 2017 through July 23, 2017 for the amount of $3,135,617.50. A2, the bills list August 15, 2017. Bills list for $5,613,710.30. Credit card activity period ending June 30th, 2017 for $242,760.91. It's for action.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Simmons. We have one question. It was item number 10 on page 9.
Do you want to go first, Ann?
Is there someone here from our staff to expand on that?
Calling the bill.
Is that you?
I'm not sure who's the question.
It was solid waste transfer, stone recycling. I think Alderman Fleming and also Alderman
Yes,
Rainey.
I can.
Did you want to ask your question, or you just
Do you
want
want
to
to go
speak
first,
to
Ann?
it?
Okay. Yeah, so my question is, I see that we have this charge for $6,898.34, and it's for dumpsters that we split a cost with Northwestern for, it looks like 17 dumpsters for spring cleanout. And I guess I would like to have a little more explanation about how long that's been going on and to revisit us just having that be a cost that Northwestern absorb and not the city.
Good evening, Chair and Alderman Fleming. This has been a practice for, I'm going to guess, for approximately the last 8 years or so. And if we didn't provide the dumpsters out there, then the move-out materials would be placed in the alley and be picked up solely by the city as a special pickup request. And so to avoid that, we work in conjunction with Northwestern and split the cost for the dumpsters. And the vast majority of that material then winds up in the dumpsters that Northwestern's actually agreeing to pay for. In reality, Northwestern is not liable for this cost at all. It'd be the property owners, the apartment building owners that would have to pay for this cost. So even though we perceive that it's the Northwestern students that are causing this, it's off campus, it's at buildings not controlled by Northwestern, although they voluntarily, with some agreement from Evanston, some force from Evanston, to pay the half the cost of those dumpsters.
And if it was a special pickup and these students called 311, or even if they didn't and we had to go out, we would then charge the property owner, is that correct?
We would charge the property owner, but again, the city doesn't recover its full cost for every time we do a special pickup. It actually, we aren't charging as much as the service cost us to perform.
Okay, so another question, so why would we not charge as much as it cost us?
When I brought this forward for consideration last year, it was a decision of the city council to adjust the rates by ordinance to the rate that was established.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Erica Storley, Deputy City Manager. I just wanted to give you an update on this. I've been working with Northwestern and Alan Anderson on this process because they had a desire to change it for this past spring move out, and we didn't feel there was enough lead time to implement the change that they wanted to make insofar as transferring that responsibility to the city instead of the dumpsters. So they had tried to revisit it for the fall. The other issue that Director Stonebeck made clear when we first had this discussion with Northwestern was that we simply do not have the capacity to pick up all of this material. If we were to do it with our own staff, we would have to engage with Groot to take on that responsibility, and that would incur a cost. So part of the discussions that we're having with the universities, if they want to transition to this other model of not having the dumpsters, if they would then cover the cost of those special pickups that would have to be done by the outside contractor that could not be done by city staff.
Alderman Rainey?
What's the other deal? They want to get rid of the dumpsters, not pay half for the dumpsters, and have the city pick it up, and then what?
No,
You're not being clear,
Okay.
or I'm not understanding.
So I believe it is their desire to put more of the onus on the property owner.
Okay, that's
To-
what I thought. All right, let's stop right there. Here's what I want, and here's the message I would like this council to send to Northwestern and Alan Anderson. Enough is enough. We're in financial difficulty. This $6,898.34 ought to be assumed by them. We know it's their students. They wouldn't have assumed half the cost of this. This ought to go to the university neighborhood committee, whatever that thing is. They ought to deal with this, and they ought to take full responsibility for this. It is shameful that they're trying to put this on the back of these landlords. Just shameful. The landlords, I'm sure they're putting up with enough already. I see, even when the dumpsters are gone, you can drive around the neighborhood, all that crap is all over, sofas, mattresses, whatever is left behind when the landlords, clean up the units after the kids leave. There's still stuff behind. They need to take responsibility for the dumpsters. We had a program where neighbors, I don't know if any of you remember, where we used to get dumpsters for the neighborhood, maybe once every other month. Do you remember that? Anybody
do.
remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And oops, all of a sudden it was too expensive just to have a dumpster maybe once every other month or once a summer. Yeah, we no longer got that privilege. And now they're not even, this is ridiculous. I just wouldn't let go of this right now. And I definitely wouldn't stop the dumpster program.
Well, we do have an NU City Committee coming up in September, and I'll speak with Alderman Fisk and have her see if she wants to put it on the agenda, and we'll speak further with Northwestern and see if we can compel them to assume the full cost for this operation.
And maybe this committee could even put together a resolution, sending a message to Northwestern, asking them to please be a good neighbor and, do these dumpsters. And how many do we have? I can't remember. 17?
17. Thank you.
Okay.
Finished
right.
on this one.
So is your recommendation to then hold it or pull it?
No, we've got to.
Well, we have to pay it if we've already done the service.
Let's pay the
Okay.
bill, but,
Okay.
Yeah.
For future, got it. Any other bills to list, Alderman Rainey?
I asked about the home funds, total home funds, $73,240. I think I'm understanding this right. Connections, the TBRA, vouchers, I don't know if you can hear me,
What page are you on?
for rental housing, correct?
Thank you.
That's for. So I said, please provide the addresses where the vouchers were used. Sarah, could you answer this for me? How many, I have the addresses. 1 month, a year, 10 years?
No.
2 months?
Good evening, Sarah Flax, Housing and Grants Administrator. This is several months, and it's actually 2 different programs. It is some of the monthly payments, I think it's 2 monthly payments for the people in the TBRA program that were started in 2016, and then it's also the funding that the council approved earlier this summer. It's the startup for many of those families, so it's first month's rent and first, security deposit.
When I saw the answer, I realized I didn't ask a complete enough question, because however, I did get part of the information I wanted. So you look at these addresses, and I see exactly what I thought I was going to see, all in these same kind of neighborhoods. Were these places where people were already living, or are these addresses that the organizations already had arranged with landlords to rent before they had families to place?
No, these are new leases. I mean, each household, when they're entering the program, get a lease with an apartment that they choose. Now, Connections and various other of our nonprofits work with some landlords, frankly, that are willing to take people who are accepting people who have a subsidy. Our goal is to get the families in an area where they want to be that's proximate to their children's schools or some other choice of the family.
All right, I mean,
If you would like more information on it, I'd be happy to get it for you, Alderman Rainey.
I mean, could you, just so that we get a feeling of what the rents are, because we're always getting criticized, new developments that come to us about, these are not affordable rents, blah, blah, blah. Could we get a listing, let's just use these. These are manageable. This is a manageable number. The number of bedrooms, and let's just stick with these and not.
Sure.
We don't need the number of people or anything like that, but the number of bedrooms, the rent, what the rent is. That would be good.
Sure.
Great. I would love to see that.
And just so that you all know, the rent schedule is based on the Housing Authority's rents, which in Evanston differ by zip code. They are what are called the small area rents, but I'll be happy to get that to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be good to see. All right, so that one I had. And,
All right.
I had one
Get your question answered, Alderman Rainey?
other. Yes, and I had one other.
Okay.
Presence is Resurrection. Are they now Resurrection Hospital?
I thought they merged with Resurrection, but I could be.
Resurrection Presence, they are? Okay.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you. Seeing no additional lights, all those in favor of passing item A1 and A2, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Alderman Rainey, item A3.1, please.
3.1, contract extension with Morton Salt Company for the purchase of salt. This is for 7,500 tons of rock salt from Morton at a cost of $47.35 per ton for the winter season, totaling $355,125. This is has a budget of $384,100. We anticipate needing to spend another 24, this is totally wrong, we won't be spending any more money, but they're anticipating spending another $24,000, because we won't have any stuff.
Right. Is there a second?
Approval.
Second.
It's been seconded by Alderman Fleming. Any questions? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of passing item A3.1, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Can I find out how much we have left over? I don't remember reading that.
Who is that? For
I'm sure it did, but I don't remember the amount.
Alderman Rainey, do you mind repeating your question? Mr.
I
Mayward?
don't remember what I read early this morning about how much we have left over.
Mr. Mayward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the AMPW committee. Is your question, Alderman Rainey, how much do we have in storage?
Yeah, storage.
We currently, our barn is full. We have 3,500 tons in storage. The $24,000 that we talked about is anticipation of some snow in December. Our strategy is to basically order whatever we use storm by storm. That way we keep an on-site inventory at all times.
But we're fully,
We are full going into the season, yes.
Good.
thank you.
All right. All right, keep us, we voted on that. Alderman Sufferman, item A 3.2, please.
Sole search purchase of Talmadge lights and cages, the poles and the cage part, for $98,254.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Fleming. Alderman Fleming, question?
Yeah, so if I'm reading this correctly, the entire Talmadge light is about $50,000 each, is that correct? Director Stonebeck, or is that your department?
Yes, that is an approximate cost.
Okay, and then can you tell me how much the new trial light that you have up now cost? Any idea?
Much less, but I don't have that number readily
Okay,
available.
Much less,
You want to
okay.
take a stab at it? Jim?
That you can, it's not dire, you can email me. I'm just curious to see as we think about replacing lights what the cost comparison is. Thank you.
Seeing no other lights, all those in favor of passing item 3.2, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Simmons, item 3.3, please.
3.3. Contract with Black and Veatch Corporation for 2017-2018 hydraulic modeling services. Staff recommends City's Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract for 2017 through 19 hydraulic modeling services with Black and Veatch Corporation in the not-to-exceed amount of $50,000 per year for the next 3 years, 2017 through 2019. Funding for these services in 2017 will be provided from the Water Fund, which has a budget allocation of $280,000. Staff proposes the budget $50,000 for hydraulic modeling services in the same amount, in the same account in future years. This is for action.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Alderman Fleming. Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to move item 3.4, it's the capital improvement plan. Staff's recommending City Council's discussion of the capital improvements plan for administration as outlined in corresponding memorandum. Marty? You just take your time. Alderman Fleming, do you want to have a quick question, or do you want to?
No, he can go first.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Marty Lyons, Assistant City Manager. The memo that you have is two-part. One was a specific question regarding the use of contingencies, or a little bit about contingencies. So Bureau Chief Laura Biggs prepared, and I prepared that memo separately. But the first memo is really a review of two issues. One is, how do we do the capital improvements plan annually when we are trying to set it up? And then how do we make changes mid-year? And I won't restate the memo, but I will state just one fact. Over the past 7 to 8 years, depending on the budget situation, we have had more detail. Some of you may remember the one year that we had a 1, 2, and 3 priority listing. One year where we had above the line and below the line. We did not do that specifically the last couple of years. It was done a lot more so with meetings with council in the fall, and then looking at how much we had in total funding. And when we say total funding, that goes to how much we have in bonding capacity and where we should stay under. And that deals with our later agenda item. You can see what happens when we hit our bonding capacity. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Alderman Fleming?
So one, thank you for completing this. So I have a question about our CIP mid-year adjustments. So there's some language in the bullets here about when a project's under budget and how we go on to the next project. And I think I would love to see that a little clearer, right? So when the project's under budget, or several are under budget, or something doesn't happen, I would love to see some kind of memo to City Council to let them know, and then so we know what the next item is up for, if we're going to, use that money for another project. Does that make sense? So if we have $2 million access because we didn't do a couple of things and you're moving on, in your list of projects that are already in the queue, that the city council is made aware of that. And I think for me, maybe because I'm new, a little bit earlier than the document coming before me, because when it comes before me, I'm a little bit trying to figure out how we got there.
And if I might suggest, we have in the past used had the capital plan as a part of the quarterly report, and we could, at the first quarter report doesn't come out until late April. That's when we've got all of the information. And I'll work with the capital improvements team to find out when they'd have a good handle. By May 1st, we have a lot of our bids done. We haven't spent nearly any of the money, but we will have a good handle at least to give a status report of how we see the year shaping up. So that would be something that would give you a shot in May 1st and then another look in August. Right now, we would come back with a mid-year, where are we at with all of the bids? Because if you look at our monthly report, there's still $8 to $9 million in the capital improvements fund because we haven't paid this year's bills yet. So you can't look at what we've paid. We need to come back to you with here's what we've encumbered, here's what we've committed to, here's what else we can do. So that would be my suggestion, is to hit those quarterly benchmarks in a formal report as a part of those.
Okay, that would be great. And then my other question is, somewhere in here it mentions, sorry, I thought I highlighted it, but somewhere in here it mentions kind of these are the guidelines, but there's no policy for these decisions. Is that, sorry, I don't have it highlighted, but so I would like us to think about, as we're moving forward, what our policy is, or just much more clarity about how we're choosing these things, and so that we can be accountable to stick to, if possible, what we've chosen as our capital projects for the year.
And what I would point to would be the one attachment that has the capital improvements plan in it. I don't know if I put the very front. The front part of the capital improvements plan that's in every year's budget document, I'll reproduce that and get that out to the entire council, because it has a more detailed listing historically of what our policy goals are for capital. So I will reproduce that and use that as a starting point for discussion.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of accepting and placing this on file, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Alderman Fleming, item A3.5, please.
Contract with Structures Construction LLC for Dempster Street Beach office renovation. Staff recommends the City Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract for the Dempster Beach office renovations with Structures Construction LLC in the amount of $249,297. Funding will be provided by the Capital Improvement Program 2017 General Obligation Bonds for Dempster Street Beach office renovations, which has a fiscal year 2017 budget allocation of $200,000. Additional funding is available through the delay of the Church Street Harbor South Pier reconstruction, which has $291,060 in the uncommitted funds. This is for action.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded by Alderman Rainey. Any questions? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of passing item A3.5, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Alderman Rainey, item A3.6, please.
This is a request for a contract with Copenhagen Construction for the Gibbs Morrison Center Site Improvement Project. A recommendation is to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with Copenhagen in the amount of $371,345 for site improvements in the following amounts: $163,000 from the 2016 GO bond funds, $18,345 from 2017 GO bonds, and $190,000 from the sewer fund. Detailed information can be found in the transmittal memorandum. This is for action. Move approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Alderman Fleming. Any comments or questions?
I didn't know there were all these little things wrong.
All right. Seeing no lights, all those in favor of passing item A3.6, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Sufferton, item A3.7, please.
This is a contract for engineering services with Wiss, Janney, and Elstner Associates related to the Service Center Emergency Repair Project in the amount of $44,300.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Properly second by Alderman Fleming. Any comments, questions? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of passing item A3.7, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item A3.8, Alderman Simmons.
Contract with In Situ Form Technologies USA LLC for large diameter sewer rehabilitation, Mulford Street, Part 2. Staff recommends that City Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract for the amount of $365,330 with In Situ Form Technologies USA LLC for the large diameter sewer rehabilitation, Mulford Street, Part 2. Contingent upon receiving the appropriate loan funding from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, it is anticipated that the IEPA will provide loan funding from the state revolving fund in the amount of $376,289.90 for construction of this project. This amount includes a contingency of up to 3% above the bid price of the project. With this funding, all eligible construction costs would be funded by a loan repaid over 20 years at 1.76 interest. This is for action.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Alderman Fleming. Any questions? Alderman Rainey.
Where does this go? Does this go to Deep Tunnel?
No, this sewer discharges to the 54-inch interceptor that is on McCormick Boulevard and carries the combined sewage waste to the sewage treatment plant at Howard and McCormick.
And, okay, will this bring relief to, I'm thinking about my recent experience.
No, this will not provide relief. The existing sewer is well over 100 years old. And
Just
is,
replacement, just,
yeah, it's making sure it lasts.
okay. Thank you.
Seeing no additional lights, all those in favor of passing, what number are we on? A3.8, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item, that's me, 3.9 is a sole source contract with CTR Systems, Inc. for emergency sewer repair at 2750 Lincolnwood. It's going to be in the dollar amount of $28,500. It's for action.
Second.
It's been properly moved, seconded by Alderman Fleming. Any questions? Comments? Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Alderman Fleming, item A3.10, please.
Change order number 1 with Schroeder and Schroeder Incorporated for the 2017 Alley and Street Improvement Project. The staff recommend the City Council authorize City Manager to execute change order number 1 to 2017 Alley and Street Improvement Project with Schroeder and Schroeder in the amount of $144,892.50. This change order will expand the scope of work to include widening and street resurfacing work on Callan Avenue from Howard Street to Brummel Street. This will increase the contract amount from $1,301,882.10 to $774.60. There will be no change to the contract completion date of November 17, 2017. Funding will be provided for the Capital Improvement Fund, 2017 General Obligation Bonds. This project was not budgeted, but funding is available from savings and other projects. This is for action.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Alderman Rainey. Alderman Sufferton.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand exactly what this is. So we approved the engineering last month, right? That was the 15,000 or so. This would be 144. If we don't approve this, it gets done next year as part of just the general budget. If someone could just help me understand. And the end product is 22 new parking spaces, correct?
Hi, my name is Laura Biggs. I'm the Bureau Chief of Capital Planning and Engineering. So we did approve the engineering a couple of months ago. They did the design for the resurfacing and widening of Callan. one of the benefits of widening Callan is that it does provide additional parking spaces, but this project would also include the general resurfacing of Callan as well. So staff in general has been planning to prioritize Callan. It would probably be have been in our staff proposal for 2018 as a capital improvement project, just under the normal resurfacing, and it would have been widened at that time. However, it was moved forward into this year.
Understood. And so the benefit would be, the 22 parking spaces would benefit the residents, or would they benefit the businesses in Howard Street?
No businesses on Howard Street are not going to use it.
Customers of businesses on Howard Street? I mean, anybody with the Evanston wheel tax paid can park on this, right? Am I correct on that, or?
Well, if you paid your wheels.
Okay.
Yes.
That's not why it's being done. It's being done, let me just explain. I can't imagine how anybody, first of all, do you want to go ahead and trash it first, and then I'll come in and explain why it's being done?
I'm just asking why it's being moved to this year from.
Because it is so desperately needed for the past, let's see, I think Callan has been, we did this on Clyde about, 15, 20 years ago. Since I've been an alderman, we did it on Clyde. Clyde was one side of the street parking since I've been an alderman. We increased it then. It is a multifamily neighborhood, intensely multifamily neighborhood. We have driven around and removed no parking here to corner signs so that residents can have 5, 6, 7 extra parking spaces. We've stood on corners watching when the school buses come so that we know we're not impeding their turns because cars are parked there. We have increased the time, or lessened the time when you can't park near a park, which is almost getting into the danger zone, so that people will have more space to park. There is a park in this neighborhood, so you can't park there. It is absolutely a terrible situation. I have driven with the PEOs at night between 8 o'clock at night and 10 o'clock at night. We have checked every single license plate, Alderman Suffredin, on Thursday and Friday nights. You will have to accept this. The license plates are license plates of people who live on Custer, Callan, Clyde, and Brummel. Now, they may be customers at those terrible restaurants, there's only one, by the way, or cocktail lounge, there's only one, on Howard Street. But they still live in the neighborhood and they have a car, and they are parked there. There were 2 or 3 or 4 cars from Chicago or Lake Forest or someplace else who didn't read the signs who are parked in the neighborhood. The cars in the neighborhood, the cars parked on the street between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. in violation of the wheel tax are cars that live in the neighborhood. There are too many cars for too little curb, and that's the problem. When you have a multifamily neighborhood with one side of the street parking, it flies in the face of logic and reason. And so they are good people who work all day. They need to have a place to put their car. Staff says there are 22 parking spaces on that side of the street. We have counted on the opposite side of the street, accounting for curb cuts, 25 to 27 possible spaces. If people park reasonably close to one another and a bunch of compact cars versus giant vans pull up. So, if you feel compelled to hold it off till next year, fine. But it's going to maybe even cost more money next year. We might be getting away with something this year because we've got all these contractors in the next block that might be giving us a break. I don't know. We might be getting a break. Yeah, we might.
Is the cost based on where the equipment is now, or would it be based on, it could cost us less next year, right? I mean, it's not based on,
It's
a favorable year.
it's a favorable bid price year, and we're using the unit prices that we got in our contract, which were good unit prices. I cannot predict exactly what will happen next year with bid prices.
Alderman Rainey, I understand everything that you're saying. I just don't understand why it needs to be moved up a year. Is there a
Because we can. And these people are desperate for parking. They're desperate for parking. They're getting tickets, and they deserve tickets when, it's this whole thing with, parking tickets are not, I don't believe, if you get a parking ticket, you deserve it, because our PEOs legitimately give tickets. They have no choice but to park illegally, because some of these women are not going to be walking 2-3 blocks from Chicago, from wherever they have to park. So they get legitimate parking tickets. They're $30, $40, $50, whatever they end up paying. And so it's only reasonable. We should have done this 5 years ago, but I couldn't get it together enough to do it. This seemed like perfect opportunity. We're having an alley done 2 blocks away. 2 blocks away, we're having an alley done where we're having some leftover money. Seems like a perfect opportunity. I'm willing to call the question here and lose the vote. Doesn't matter.
Well, I have a question.
Alderman Fleming?
So my question is, I think this maybe goes back to the couple agenda items ago, when we have extra money and city staff decides we're moving on to another project. I would assume we have other streets in Alderman Rainey's ward and all over the city that need resurfacing and or widening, or are good, potential clients for that. So my question is, how is city staff deciding that this is the one to do? Is it because we're already in the area? I need to figure out, again, what the process is, assuming that there are other streets that could benefit from the same work, and if we have money left over, was this one number 1 on the list? Was it number 5 on the list?
Let me I have not one other street in my ward that needs widening. As a matter of fact, the other day when I made my tour to see how badly people were parked in the neighborhood, I went down Brummel, west of Ridge, all these beautiful single-family bungalows that run along the yellow line. 2 sides of the street parking, only one side of the street has homes on it. Same on Mulford, they're all over. And here, this is multifamily housing on both sides of the street. We have one side of the street parking.
Alderman Fleming, members of the committee, I think one of we've answered, going back to the other agenda items, we've discussed what our process is. So this was a request by the alderman, and it was in the 5-year plan already. One thing I would say that differentiates this one is that the engineering was approved by the governing board, so staff had clear direction to proceed with the project when the engineering was approved. So we don't have any other projects that we have engineering approved that are not in the 2017 budget, so something where we are going to move something up because the engineering is approved. So we don't have any other examples of the engineering having been approved by council and then moving the project up because of that. Conversely, an engineering design can sit on a shelf for a year. I would not tell you that that's not the case, but we had that direction that the council had approved, the engineering for the project, and funds were available, so we would move forward.
All right, so let me ask you a hypothetical. If Alderman Rainey had not advocated for this street, what would you have done with the leftover money? I'm assuming there's other projects we have that you would have moved on to?
That we would have actually reported where we were on the estimate, and when we did the bonds this evening, we'd have noted how far under we are with the bonds, and right now the engineering department's operating at 100%. We probably wouldn't have moved any projects forward. We would have looked forward to the next year because that would have been X $100,000 not borrowed.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Rainey?
I must say that it is a very strange experience as a senior alderman here, having listened to all sorts of debates on this council, to hear an alderman be criticized for advocating for her constituents. It is not something I have ever heard before. I'm almost speechless, which is very rare. To hear aldermen criticize and challenge an alderman for fighting for the needs of her constituents. I would highly recommend that each of you do the same. Bring stuff your constituents need. You brought a change to the block party ordinance. Yay, I voted for it because your constituents wanted to change to block parties. I'm waiting for you to bring something. I will support you. That's what I did. It is not a bad thing. That's why I got this, because I have been working on this. Do the same. You'll get my support. Nobody else asked for anything.
Thank you. Seeing no further lights, any other comments? We'll call the question. All those in favor of passing, what item are we on?
Whatever it is.
310.
Aye.
3.10. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Yes, no.
Okay.
Opposed.
The item passes 3-2. Alderman, who is this? Rainey, item 311.
311.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, here we are. 78017, increasing the number of Class D,
Item 311, Alderman Rainey.
311. Okay, wait.
The purchase of the two vehicles from Curry Motors.
Wait. Oh, I'm sorry, here it is. I just wanted to get to the liquor licenses. 311, purchase of two vehicles from Curry Motors for administrative services and one excavator from Burris Equipment for Public Works Agency. Let's see, here we go. All right. In the amount of $43,846. That is for the Ford replacement vehicles. And the excavator will be a single-source purchase from Burris Equipment in the amount of $101,620. Move approval.
Second.
Second by Alderman Fleming. Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Sufferton, item 3.12, please.
An agreement with Passport Parking, Inc. to provide mobile payments for parking citation management platform and digital permitting. Based on historical data and the number of 2016 citations, this should be a $60,000 per year reduction in costs for a total not to exceed the cost of $260,000 per year. Agreements for 2 years.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Simmons. Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Alderman Simmons, item A4, please.
Resolution 68R17, authorizing city manager to enter into 2 4-month lease agreements with vacant studio spaces at Noyes Cultural Arts Center. Staff recommends city council adoption of Resolution 68R17, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for a 4-month lease with Sarah Kaiser and a 4-month lease with Megan Adams for vacant studios at the Noyes Cultural Arts Center. This is for action.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Rainey. Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item A6, Item A5 has been removed from this agenda. It passed on economic development at the June meeting, so it'll go straight to council. Item A6 is ordinance 54-0-17, authorizing the city manager to execute a lease of city-owned property located at 633 Howard with Sweet Bendham, Inc. Staff's recommending the total amount of $50,000 come from economic development. City council approved a budget of $250,000 back in 2017. And what else? I think that's it. This is also staff request suspension of the rules for introduction and action at the August 14th city council meeting. So this is going to be for introduction and action. Alderman Suffredin?
Well, I have concerns about the parking congestion in the area. Could somebody from staff explain to me how this would contribute to that or take away from it?
Alderman Rainey, I don't know if you want to respond, and meanwhile, if we had someone from staff.
Well, the great thing about this is this restaurant cafe is going to be open from 7 to 7. And you can shoot a cannon down Howard Street between 7 and 4. And of course, you can't park in the neighborhood until after 6. So there's just nobody. The great thing about this is that there is nobody on the sidewalks even on Howard Street during the day, which is what we've been striving to find, a daytime user. So this is actually a good thing. Hopefully people put some money in the meters, because nobody is at the meters during the day unless it's some tradesperson coming to, do some plumbing or something. So it's, there probably won't be any problem whatsoever.
Thank you, Alderman Rainey. Mr. Lyons?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Alderman Suffredin. In the past, as we have been working on economic development activities for Howard, we have kept an eye on parking overall, but the primary concern is to revitalize the area. It is, tonight you had an interesting situation of a parking issue just back of Howard, if you will, on a street that does have crowding from residents parking there. But our overall goal has been to expand the economic development activities on Howard, and this is a continuation of going from on a very large amount or large percentage of empty storefronts to continuing to improve the capacity of the area for business. Yes, parking is a concern. We have not done a parking study to say how will this impact the area. As we move forward, though, we will also be looking at when we do the theater, that will be coming in. Some parking will remain. The one lot that's right next to the theater will remain as parking. But it is a long-term issue that will be studied as a part of the Howard Ridge TIF. But for the small restaurants, between this, Good to Go, those previous developments, we have considered the development of the area over the parking impact because, as Alderman Rainey pointed out, during the day we don't have a parking concern. During the evening, we have not had a parking concern raised to us from the neighborhood via the alderman for people parking and going to the restaurants as such, but I would defer to the alderman as far as what she's hearing.
Alderman Rainey?
Interestingly, Good to Go, directly across the street from 633 Howard, is leaving. They're going down the street to the 700 block of Howard, so that restaurant will not be open during the day. Tally Ho doesn't open. They're not open for breakfast. I don't think.
Not yet.
I haven't been there. So Peckish and Ward 8 don't open until 4:30 and 5. So, I mean, it just works out, the synergy works out perfectly. Really, the place is just vacant all day long. So this is going to be a nice mix. I did want to say one thing about parking in the lease. It says in one place, in the cover from Michelle, that there is no parking in the rear of the outpost. There are 3 spaces. And then in the lease, it says that the owner, that the lessee is responsible for managing the parking in the rear of the outpost, the employee parking in the rear of the outpost. So there are 3 spaces, except there's some landscape truck parked there, right?
We will work with
So, I mean,
law and-
it's no big deal, but there are 3 little spaces back there that, you know, that go to the outpost.
Question from Alderman Simmons.
Oh, thanks. I would hope that we could approve this. I know that I'm on Howard pretty regularly and have never had to park a block away. It's been pretty convenient. And I think that the daytime business offering breakfast, brunch, and lunch will allow for a walkable dining experience for the residents there where they don't have it now. So I would hope that we could move forward on this.
Okay.
There's no place,
All right.
oh, except Kaleberger, but that's way at the other end.
Right.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other lights, item A6, and again, this is for introduction and action tonight. We'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item A7, Alderman Fleming.
Ordinance 68-0-17, authorizing the city manager to enter into a real estate contract for the sale of city-owned property at 100 Chicago Avenue to Harrington Brown LLC. The staff recommends approval of this ordinance, authorizing the city manager to enter into a real estate contract for the sale of certain city-owned real property located at 100 Chicago Avenue, Evanston, Illinois. A 2/3 majority of city council is required to adopt this ordinance. Staff requests suspension of the rules for introduction and action at the August 14th, 2017 city council meeting. This is for action, for introduction and action.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Okay, that's 1 no. Who's taking minutes from this meeting? Are you? Janella watching, and she'll take minutes? Okay, thank you. Alderman Rainey,
Yes.
item A8, or is this a comment?
Wait. I'm going to ask Alderman Suffredin. Alderman Suffredin, will you allow us to suspend the rules and you can vote against the ordinance?
Sure, I'll vote against it every opportunity.
No, that's okay, but
Yeah.
can we suspend the rules?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much, I appreciate that. So can the record be shown that Alderman Suffredin approves of suspending the rules when we get to the council? And he can vote against the
Yeah,
ordinance?
I'll vote against it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Just a question for just in terms of procedure. So do we need a unanimous vote in order to suspend? Or is
Yes,
it
you
simple
do.
majority?
Yes, you do.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you, Alderman Rainey.
Thank you.
Would you like to take item A8 now, please?
Yes, I will try. and-
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, ordinance 74-017, amending the city code to establish a four-way stop at the intersection of Marcy Avenue and Colfax Street. Move approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Alderman Suffredin. This is for introduction. Is there any reason why we can't move to suspend the rules and just send it on? Whose word is that in?
this?
My word. Sure, go for it. Let's do it.
I move to suspend the rules and take action this evening.
Right? So there's been an amendment. All those in favor of suspending the rules and moving this for action, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Take note. All right. Item A9, Alderman Suffredin.
Sure. This is an ordinance authorizing 2017 A, B, and C general obligation bond issues. And so the staff recommends introduction of an ordinance to provide the issuance of one or more series of not to exceed $14,500,000 general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2017A, one or more series of not to exceed $9,665,000 general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2017B, and one or more series not to exceed $5 million taxable general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2017C of the City of Evanston, Cook County, etc. The ordinance will be completed and signed after the bond sale date, which is tentatively scheduled for December 28th, 2017.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Simmons, would you like to take item A10, please?
Ordinance 77017, decreasing the number of Class 1 liquor licenses for the Barn Investment LLC. Local Liquor Commissioner recommends City Council adoption of Ordinance 77017, amending the City Code subsection to decrease the number of authorized Class 1 liquor licenses from 3 to 2. This is for introduction.
Would you like to take item A11 also, please?
Ordinance 78017, increasing the number of Class D liquor licenses for Barn Investment LLC. Local Liquor Commissioner recommends City Council adoption of Ordinance 78017, amending the City Code subsection to increase the number of authorized Class D liquor licenses from 55 to 56, and permit issuance of Class D license to the Barn Investment LLC. This is for introduction.
Thank you. Is the owner of the business here, Amy, or a representative present? Is there any reason why we can't just move?
Well, I think, Mr. Ford, can she have two licenses introduced at the same time? Shouldn't,
Well, one is decreasing, right?
well, I know, but I mean, shouldn't we get rid of one and have the other?
Well, that's what I wanted. I was going to suspend them both
Do
for
you know
action.
which one?
Al-
Is
Alderman
she
Rady,
rating with one?
Alderman Rady, Mr. Chair, council members, my understanding is that one ordinance is to decrease the license, and then the other ordinance is to increase the license. So I believe that it's proper for it to both come up at this time for introduction.
Do you have any issue with suspending the rules to move them both forward? Is there any notification?
We defer to you pursuant to the rules. If you want to intro an action, I believe 20.1, it has to be unanimous, a unanimous vote.
Why not, maybe she wants it this one,
I don't know.
yeah. Because usually they
Paul?
tell us.
Does she care whether we just move and introduce this item A10 and 11? Is there a time sensitivity? If not, we're fine with the introduction. Just
Alderman Braithwaite, I frankly don't know the answer to that.
not a problem. We'll leave it as is. All right, Alderman Simmons, do we have a second on both?
Second.
Second by Alderman Fleming. All those in favor of passing for introduction item 77-0-17 and item 78-0-17, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any items for discussion? Communications?
Did we-
Alderman Fleming?
Never mind.
Okay. Before we adjourn, the administration and, the planning and development meeting will start at, what, 7:20?
Yeah, that's good.
7:20
Little
works.
break.
We'll start at 7:20. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.